Okay, so we're gonna have a little brainstorming session here. So first of all, did any of you guys have any ideas for a product or something like that that you wanted to throw up on the blockchain or perhaps use on the decentralized database? Mohammed?
Yeah, there was one idea where building a business-to-business blockchain, a private permission blockchain, for sharing data between shared mobility operators.
Oh,
So Evo cars and Zipcar
yeah.
sharing data on a single network with permission. That was one idea.
Interesting. Good idea. So Mohammed is talking about building a permissioned network for sharing data between mobile
Car sharing platforms.
Car sharing
Evo
platforms.
cars and Zipcar.
Evo cars and Zip cars. Okay. And Anthony, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but did you have any ideas, or no? You were looking to contribute to somebody else's idea. Okay, cool. And sorry, I can't see your name tag, so I don't. Carmen. Okay. No. I think I was in charge of registration. So did you register with a few other people at the same time?
Yeah, I registered friends here.
Oh, so you guys were all standing up together. And it's all five of you?
We're all students.
You guys are all students.
Yeah.
Okay. Do any of you have any suggestions for a product or a technology or anything like that you guys were thinking about implementing?
I was just planning on using the decentralized database to implement with Ethereum smart contracts. So
Okay.
applications based on those. But
So sort of what Monty was doing, or
I think a bit, yeah.
okay. We've got a few developers. Do you have an idea more?
Not more fleshed out, no.
No more, not more fleshed out. Well, you've got some people who can help you with that. Awesome. And I guess the other four of you guys are there for moral support. No, this guy's got an idea. It's Johan.
What? I don't have an idea.
You don't have And then, I'm sorry, I can't see your name tag.
Varun.
Pardon me?
Varun.
Varu. Varu, did you have any ideas that you were planning on implement, or you wanted to sort of push or talk about at today's event?
I'm just thinking about it. Not yet.
Not right now? Okay. And then, I can't see your name.
Ibrahim.
Sorry?
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim. Oh yeah, we spoke on,
yeah.
you did have an idea. Yeah.
Kind of, not really. It's actually very similar to the first idea, but it's more about kind of creating a more user. So blockchain already has this kind of stuff implemented, which is privacy, but it's creating a more user-friendly kind of Dropbox method of sharing protected files. So files that you'd only want one other person to see, and just using the decentralized database to do that, just for the sake of more security.
Okay, yeah, so you're talking about, I know what you're talking about because I've done it like file sharing, but using obviously the internet and email and stuff like that, but not email, but you're talking about the decentralized file sharing, actually, you just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But just creating a way that's more user-friendly, so like anyone can use it, not just people who understand
Blockchain.
Because I find that's the biggest problem with blockchain right now is it's mainly friendly to developers, but everyday laymen can't really touch it.
Yeah, that's actually very true. That's a huge problem for blockchain right now, is not that people get it. She's been nodding her head while you've been talking, so are you guys a team or something? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually all.
Oh, the three of you? Wow,
Chris
okay.
And those two.
Are
And
you guys business or engineers?
I'm a designer.
Okay. You guys want to join us?
Us. Mahmood, why you say us? Who are you guys?
Oh, we're actually Mohammed, Vince, and I, and then
Julian. Okay, so you guys are kind of a team there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So we've got some forming happening there. So yeah, I should mention that there's a maximum number of people to a team of 6. You can't have everybody in the room on one team. So maybe you guys, Ibrahim, you might want to talk to Mohammed or you guys are both Mohammed?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Mahmood.
Mahmood, sorry, my bad.
Um,
Yeah, the sticker was obscured. Okay, great. And then I just can't see your name.
Yeah.
I'm Lucy.
Lucy, you're with those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're Lucy Liu, right?
Yes.
Sorry, not to just say your name. It's just I saw that when I was doing registration last night. That's pretty. Yeah, I bet you get that a lot. Okay.
Praveen.
Praveen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to tell us about your idea?
Don't have an idea, but I work for healthcare, so I thought I could do something related to healthcare.
Sure. What do you do in healthcare?
I'm a project manager there.
So you might have ideas of. I mean, a project manager. You also play business analyst roles sometimes as necessary, right?
And mostly on supply chain side of things. So.
On supply chain. So you mean like drugs?
Like medical supplies. Yeah, going
Oh,
from
medical
drugs to medical supplies.
So like needles and drugs.
That's right.
So, do you have any ideas for maybe stuff that you guys are banging your heads against the wall? I mean, we always hear about healthcare and sharing documents of people's files, but perhaps with the logistics of getting, okay, not drugs, but equipment from A to B or something like that, tracking it so that an X-ray machine doesn't go walking out the door.
Yeah, there are so many problems out there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I haven't narrowed down to one, but I'm just brainstorming a little bit. And I think I spoke to William there. He's a developer, so yeah.
Okay, excellent. And then Neeraj, did you have an idea that you wanted to?
Do you mind if I come up? I just wanted
Yeah.
to I want to get some more developer stuff here, if possible.
Yeah, for sure. Get them up here or get them.
Well, I want them talking.
Ah,
These are all our business guys, right?
correct.
Yeah, so, I've been to a lot of startup weekends myself, and being a developer, I find that the business people seem to be the first to come up to pitch ideas. I think this is a great opportunity if you are a developer to just come up and, talk in front of a group of people. I mean, it's not the thing we developers usually do. So if you do have any ideas, come up now and talk, or just wherever you are, you can, I see a hand up there.
No, I have questions.
Sure.
Okay, we'll start with that. We'll start with Anthony's question, and then we can probe some of the other developers to see.
I think we're to use the Roselle database. So, what is the limit of the value in is a key value thing? How big are these? Like, if I put something in the database, what's the biggest object I can push in the database?
That's a great question. There's no limit of the yeah, so the question is basically, it's a key value paired database, and the question is how large can the value be in bytes? Andrew? Oh, okay. Andrew, what's the size, max size of the value?
So we're not enforcing limitations right now, however, let's keep it under 100K.
Okay, so let's keep it under 100K. The question comes up to me a lot in meetups is, can I use the Roselle database to store files? Strictly speaking, you could. I would ask people not to. Please don't store your AVI files on here. This is a database, it's not Dropbox. So please keep it under 100 kilobytes. We don't strictly enforce the size, and at this point, if you go too big, bad things can sometimes happen. So, you got another question?
Do you support brain queries on keys, or is it strictly I have to know which key I want when I query brain?
Yeah. Isabel's going to be going over this, so we'll probably get into more details about that one, if you don't mind. But got one here. Oh, great.
Excellent. This is
Great.
Glenn. Glenn has an idea.
Great.
You guys have it over there.
How you guys want this?
Oh, you
Oh, no, over. What about those guys?
I'm not a business person.
What?
First of all, I am not project manager of this. If anybody thinks this is a good idea, somebody else has to be in charge. I want to build a game, but not just one game. I want to build an infinite number of possible games off of this shared database. Most of us, when we're building games, we've got our own backend and you've got your own database, and nobody else can access it and stuff like that. What I'm thinking about is a game where it's literally sort of like Spore, where there's different scales potentially, where you're playing kind of tangentially to other players, but you want to be able to interact with them through different interfaces. So some people might be playing like I'm running a city, and the database has their information on their cities and what's going on in their cities, but somebody else might be playing as citizens of those cities, blowing each other up or something like that. You want to be able to interact with each other and be like, oh my gosh, I got a bunch of players in my city blowing stuff up. In this way you could do it, and the game designers could just be designing their game with players from any of these systems working together without having to necessarily be like, hey everybody, let's build a 300-person dev team that built this game that has like 4,000 players from different front ends.
Thanks a lot. Any other developers want to come up?
We have a hand up here. It's, sorry, can't see your name. It's Jay. Thanks.
All right. There you go.
So I don't know if this is the best use of the decentralized database, but what I want to solve is, so my personal problem is when I move, there is a huge number of places where I have to go and update my address on. Banks, reward cards, all of these things. So I want to create something where you basically, ideally, you update it in one place, and every single company or service that needs your information gets a public key to your address, to your information. So when you change it, you only change it in one place, and every time they access it, you can see that they've accessed it, so you can report access at any time as well. So I don't know if this is,
That's actually a very good use case for what we're talking for decentralization. Yeah, do you want me to elaborate on that for you?
please.
Sure. So what Jade is talking about is the problem you have when you move from, say, A to B, when you geographically move from A to B, that you need to update everybody, all your vendors, your partners and stuff with your name, address, and phone number and whatever other contact information. And currently what you would do is you'd have to have your wallet, and you have to go to each one, or you have to phone them and then verify your ID. Probably spend about a day doing this. Yeah, it's annoying because each one asks you those 10 questions, like what's your dog's name, what's your first high school, what's the first color of your car. Really annoying. So Jade's suggesting if there's a way we could do this in a decentralized fashion such that your information is kept in one place and you simply share the keys with these partners to do that. That's actually a great use case, and I would support that idea too.
In fact, that's interestingly very related to what we did with KYC. Somebody asked earlier, how did we come up with this whole database thing? It's very tied to that, is having a decentralized repository where all your information is stored, and it really takes away the pain. But it also means that companies have this consortium database that can share all the information, which is exactly what you're talking about. So thank you for that. And, I'd love to see something coming out of that today. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Sorry, we have. Thanks, Jade. Sorry. One more thing I should mention. If you guys, okay, I got to start taking notes because my head's full now. I was trying to remember about Moon's idea about car sharing.
So a permission blockchain for business to business, and sharing data on one platform, right?
We're recording on
blockchain.
That's what I was about to do. But my laptop's gone blank. I don't know why. There you go. Sorry, guys. Wait a second.
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin.
Everyone, I'm Kevin. So I'm sure you've all heard of all the news around Facebook and all the data breaches and issues with privacy. So I think with decentralized databases, one of the incentives that we can have for users themselves is the control of their own data. I think a great use case for this would be actually for micropayments. So if you're sharing your data on a social platform that's based on a decentralized platform, you can control the marketers who are accessing your data and essentially get paid for it. I think that could be a use case for this.
I saw another hand, please. Dual pitch, all right.
Sorry, what's your name? Glenn.
We got Julian and we got Glenn. All right.
I can just do it. So we're trying to create something like a platform as a service. So right now we're trying to be a direct competitor to Heroku. So right now they're using AWS, and we feel that there's some flaws with AWS compared to Luzelle. So we want to fix something such as like cost and security.
So basically with that, so you guys know how, IPFS is really good for like storing, just like data, whatever. But if we can do a platform as a service, where we basically allow developers to host their Node.js application, basically decentralized in a decentralized manner, that would be really great. Especially right now, we want to use fog computing, where we basically host a Node.js that would use computing decentralized, and then any data storage would be Luzelle utilized, right? So that's basically what we want to do. Or if anybody here used Heroku before or know what Heroku is? Yeah, so you can see Heroku is really good. It allows you to just do git, Heroku, whatever, and then you push the code out, and it's good to go. You go out there and you post it, right? We want to do the same thing, but in terms of we want to integrate Sonam, so it's a Golem or any of those decentralized computing, and use Luzelle as well. So that's what you want to say. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. And then it's Mahmood, right?
Yeah.
It's Mahmood and Julian.
Right, got it. Shoot.
Okay, so I had an idea for both government and public use for contractors and stuff like that, having to do with the concept of maps and the sharing of updating maps. So like when you're going, usually through Google, and buildings being done, construction, new roadways, that doesn't get updated very quickly. So
what you could have is a decentralized version of that where if contractors are working on specific sections of the road, updates happen a lot quicker, and there's a general holding of that. And what you could also do is insert scaling as well, so you have the upper level of the maps, and then when contractors are doing stuff with blueprints and building of buildings, you can narrow in on that section of the map, and you can actually get more information in regards to the buildings around that map. So, and you'd need potentially permissions from, I don't know, some governing body if you want to make changes. But in general, everyone's holding this new map that is updated constantly as contractors do their work.
Cool, that was great. I just blew it up. Basically, you're talking about like decentralized. So everybody's going to be contributing to updating this map as the construction project is ongoing. But then if people want to drill down into the specific things that are being updated on the map, you got to pay to play, drill down into whatever. But it's permission at that point. Awesome, that's a great idea, Brian. And it's BRIAN or?
Yeah, BRIAN.
Nice.
And then there's also like the drilling, like I know on the radio there's all the time like call before you dig, you know?
Oh yeah.
So instead of something like that where you actually have to take the time, you can just get that permission because that's available for everybody easily.
Yeah.
Everywhere on the map. So.
Nice. Are you a developer or business?
Developer, I guess.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Anybody else? Any other? Great. Please come up.
Come on up.
Developers are coming out now, eh?
Yeah.
All right.
Must have put something in the coffee. What's your name?
My name is Douglas. So our goal is so we think if you ask any company like let's switch to blockchain tomorrow, and they probably would disagree. Like they don't think it's a stable thing. So we think there's a time in between where they need to use the database they use right now, and but they also want to deploy the blockchain. So I think what we want is an interface in between, like for a short period of time, so that you can put your stuff on blockchain, but also have that backup on whatever database you have right now, and so that and also it's hard to for now at least to store a large number of data on the blockchain. So you might want to store important things on the blockchain, but those big things on the traditional database. So we think, but sometimes you want to query those together. So we think interface in between helps link those two parts.
Interfacing between what two parts?
Like say SQL database.
Okay.
And decentralized database.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So many banks they may have accounts. They want to share a ledger so that it's easy to do transfer, but they are not gonna do that tomorrow. They're gonna have their backup on their own.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have that time in between. Okay, we have this in the blockchain, but we want to see information updated on our database.
So are you talking about developing an interface to current data storage, whether it's database or file or whatever, developing an interface to the blockchain, and then allowing people to access it off of that, or?
It's about functionality. Say we want to, let's say, put whatever account we have right now in SQL to blockchain, and when we have transactions added on the blockchain, so you block it
at the same time.
At the same time, the SQL database can be updated.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're basically talking about interfacing to current legacy software, such that you're duplicating the same thing on the blockchain to take the benefits of the blockchain without going over to blockchain full bore and being worried about losing everything. Okay. Cool.
Thanks. Thanks, Douglas. This thing, we're just replacing the battery, so I'll wait till we finish this up. Any other persons? Anybody with ideas? Oh, got another person.
Network, and I have ideas about to build a decentralized blogger system. In our blockchain to store data like a blog, an article or some picture is very, very expensive. But if we have Brazil, that would be make things easier to build to store a lot of data, such as a blog or article. And the other one, there would be some advertisement in blog is rich, such as Google service. You can write a blog, and you can put some advertisement in your blog, and you can earn some money by the advertisement. But they pay you by the Visa system, okay? And that is expensive. So if your blog is not abundant enough, or if you don't have such flow, and the Google don't like to pay you by Visa system, so maybe we can use the proper currency to solve this problem by decentralized blog system. And okay, this is my idea.
Awesome. That was great. I like your shirt too. Did we have any others?
Any others? Please.
Come on up. You get this man in setting. Sir, what's your name?
My name is Justin.
Justin.
Yeah, so actually I'm not quite business, I'm not quite developer, I'm a student who's making a career switch. And I'm coming here today with a lot of questions. So when I say career switch, I came from 2 different industries. My first job out of university was working in shipping and receiving. I worked importing containers from places like China to North America. And one problem that I saw quite frequently is people having trouble trusting the other person. So say, for example, I'm shipping a container and I have this cool idea for a widget. And for this widget, I need to pay a manufacturer in China some large amount of money. But the manufacturer's point of view, they're not going to create this product until they know that I'm going to pay. So there are different arrangements that shippers and consignees have in order to make sure that the product is made and then make sure that the product is received in good condition. So when it comes to consignees or people who are buying things, how can you trust the other person? How do you have a record of who you are as someone being unique to a new manufacturer or being someone buying things for the first time? So this is why I made this transition to see what solutions blockchain has, and I see that there's a lot of opportunities for technology in the sector. Another area that I came from, so after switching from shipping and receiving, I moved into the public service, where I worked for Employment and Social Development Canada, creating passports. So as a passport officer, we have things that we have to do in order to enforce policy. So that being said, you go to a passport office for any Canadians and you stand in line for an hour to maybe 2 hours. And what is it that you're really doing? You're just updating your address, your street, whatever. And then from there, people make decisions on that information. So I thought that was really inefficient, as much as that's not the best thing to say, but what I was thinking is that why does it have to be that way, where you have to update small bits of information, and can that information be drawn from other places? So say, for example, and coming back to Jade's topic about moving, this information isn't unique to the government. At provincial levels, at municipal levels, you're already collecting that information. So why is it that every 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years, they make you stand in long lines to do this process? So again, coming back to a possible opportunity for decentralized databases. Yeah, so more questions than ideas, but definitely something that I wanted to hash out while here.
Thanks, Justin. Thank you. Anyone else? So, I just want to emphasize, a lot of times people think that, you can only build DApps, stuff in the decentralized space to use Buzel. That's not actually true. If you want to just build enterprise applications, a website, an app on your iPhone or Android, the scope is quite open, and you can use all the libraries we have to do that. Another thing I found, just having gone to hackathons and startup weekends myself, is a lot of people think that it's always just about the visual and the eye candy. I'm also looking for, as a judge, if you're building low-level things like an integration layer between Buzel and other platforms and libraries. So don't kind of stray away from those ideas as well. If you're a hardcore Ruby developer and you feel you absolutely want to have access to the Buzel database from the Ruby platform or C# whatever, feel free to do that, and do that as a demo for tomorrow, because we're going to be looking for things across the board. And one of the ideas I have, it's something that I share a passion for with Brian Fox, who's one of our advisors, is libertarianism. It's actually what got me into the blockchain. And the reason I bring this up is another idea I'd love to do if I was participating would to be build some sort of free speech platform. Something where people can go in and they can talk about things that bother them, about politics, about their environment, civic stuff, anything that they want to share. There's no really good forum to do that, especially when there's a referendum going on or there's an election coming on, where you can freely put information onto a database that's decentralized, that cannot be censored, that people can see, and then they can talk about topics, and you know that there's no kind of company that's controlling it, and it's not affected by the political process itself. So something I'd love to see people working on, and it's just an idea.